Hi, Jim Graden here with another episode of Be Hard to Kill as You Age. Today, we're going to focus on defending ourselves against the most common attack probably there has been in the history of man. I mean, think about it. What is it? Especially, male against male, let's say unarmed. What is the most common attack? Well, of course, it's the old haymaker, right hand to the left side of the face, or the sucker punch, or the looping right hand, whatever you want to call it. But it's the most common, by far, attack, as a male, as we grow up. Probably 90% of the people I'm talking to is probably to defend against this. So before we continue, let me tell you a little bit about myself. Again, my name is Jim Graden. I'm a former world kickboxing champion with the United States karate team on 5 separate occasions. So I did martial arts. I also ran martial arts schools and martial arts fitness centers for over 40 years. Back in the day when I was kickboxing and I won my world title, I couldn't find enough karate guys that knew how to fight. So I predominantly worked out and trained at the legendary St. Pete Boxing Club. So I spent a lot of times along with my trainer, the legendary Joe Louis. Anybody who does know martial arts would know that Joe Louis was considered the greatest martial artist of the 20th century. That's not me saying that. That's Chuck Norris and pretty much everybody else. And I was Joe's #1 protege. I trained directly under Joe for 20 years and also great friends all the way up to his passing in 2012. So I've been involved in teaching and fighting and training. I've trained 2 world champions. I understand the concept of self-defense. I understand the concept of fighting. So today, again, we're talking about the most common technique, the one that everybody here should at least have some idea on how to defend against, and that's the old sucker punch. So, first of all, realize if we're in a situation, we should already have ourselves in a position of self-defense. What is this guy who's going to sucker punch me usually going to do? One, if you, let's say you're the bad, I'm the bad guy, and you're standing at this range, where all I have to do is reach out and hit you, I'll reach out and hit you, that's a defensive mistake to begin with, but we'll talk about that later. But what is the guy going to do? Most likely, he's just not going to reach out and pop you. He's going to do something like, all right, man, just leave me alone. He'll start to turn. Why? Usually towards the side that he has his most power on, to then come back and nail you. That's the old sucker punch. So common. It happens all the time. So we're going to get into, in the future, a lot of better understanding of self-defense, because I think 90% of it is BS. You need to understand some basic elements, but we're not going to get into today. But I'm going to give you one technique that works. Now, quick question for you. Let's say you're on an airplane, and all of a sudden the emergency bells go off, and all of a sudden they're starting to say we have to have an emergency landing, God forbid, right? What position are they going to put you in? They're going to get your chin down and put it between your legs, and what are they going to do with their arms? They're going to have you wrap them with what we call shield around your head. Why? Because there's nothing that protects your head better than that shield. So why not utilize that same concept when you're defending yourself against someone who's trying to hit you? So, first of all, again, I highly recommend that you're not arguing in this position, that you get in the position I taught you earlier, good what's called fighting stance, that you have your hands up in a position where, hey, I can argue. I'm not just standing there, hey, man, leave me alone. Hey, back off, man. I understand you're upset. I'm sorry. Whatever. But you're in a position to react here. So that makes a huge difference to defend yourself from here to here. And again, in future episodes, we're going to get more into this. But right now, that right hand comes. What is he trying to hit you? Again, people throw, and fights have been started and finished with the right hand to the left side of the face over thousands of years because it's effective. What is your opponent trying to hit? All right, let's break it down. Jaw. All right, I've had my nose broken four times. I've fought with a broken nose. Every fighter's had a nose broken and keeps fighting. There's very rare, Ali, maybe 1 or 2 others that get broken jaws and continue fighting. You break a jaw, that's a fight finisher. That's a terrible injury, and you're going to have your mouth, closed and wired up for a couple months after the fight. So that's one. Number 2 is your ear. You ever been hit in the ear real hard, especially when a guy comes down? That's disorienting, extremely painful. and also can be very much a fight finisher. If nothing else, just the disorientation of getting hit there. Number 3 is the back of your head. I mean, you think of MMA and just how pretty much almost you can even stomp the knees in modern UFC fights, which is unbelievable to me. That's a self-defense technique. Shouldn't be in the ring, in my opinion. But the point being is, it's legal. But they won't allow you to hit the back of the head. And that area right there is a very, especially a guy comes after you, try to duck, and he comes down, boom, right back there. It's gonna drop you. I mean, that's a nasty place to get hit because there's nothing protecting your spinal cord and direct route to your brain. That's where it's gonna nail you. So we wanna think of those 3: jaw, ear, back of the head. So what I do is I take my forearm and I take my wrist and I say right where you have your wristwatch. All right, but the kids, I always say silly bands. I don't know if they wear them anymore. Back in the day, they did. And you take that wristwatch and you put it right on your ear. So I'm not taking my hand and putting it on my ear. I'm taking my wristwatch, my wrist, right on my ear. And then what do? Look at my hand. I wrap my hand around my head. So even if he gets somewhat to the back of my head, he's still going to have some deflection of my hand. And then my forearm goes right down the line of my jaw. Now, very important to understand in this position. Huge difference between here and here. I'm here, shielding against that, boom, straight right hand. So when my hand comes to here, that wristwatch is right on my ear, wrapped, and again, forearm right down that jawline. Now, the difference is here, which is so common, I lean back, which is a huge mistake, or here. Realize as a fighter, you have to understand you're going to get hit. No matter who you are, what you are going to get hit. But anybody who's fought before knows the difference between getting hit from here down or from here up. A good fighter will always keep his chin down and try to take the blows in the forehead area, the skull area, where you have a lot of natural protection, your skull, as opposed to here, where you're going to get hit in the teeth or you're going to get hit in the nose. That if the guy even throws a straight punch, if my head's down, I'm going to take it on the forehead, not on the jaw, not in the nose. So you want to get in the habit. Again, fighting stance, wristwatch, on the ear, wrap it, and hold that chin down. Now, so now we understand. We're here talking, and all of a sudden that guy starts to turn. We're not turning away. We're not taking my eyes off him. If anything, I'm backing up, but I'm still aware, boom, that I can bring that hand up and defend against that most common attack. Now, of course, fight's not over. He threw a punch and missed you, but that's going to be for another episode. So this is Jim Graden. Again, shielding, right hand, wristwatch right on the ear, wrap it right down the forearm, right down your jaw, chin down, put your forehead forward, don't look at the ground. One last thing, when you're working with somebody, I'm expecting that attack as opposed to just standing there and, oh my God, I get nailed, okay? My favorite things, oh my God, I think I'm about to get hit, so that's what we're trying to avoid. All right, so this is Jim Graden. If you think you learned something from these lessons I give you, please let me know. Give me a comment, like us, follow us, and we got some other things actually coming in the future, including live streaming, some kickboxing classes. Let us know if you might be interested in something like that. Thanks again. This is Jim Graden. Take care. Bye.